and many partner organizations will converge to better shape the future of sustainable development. From 27th to 30th of April 2024, Riyadh will be the epicenter of global dialogue and collaboration. Join us as we continue this collective journey of collaboration, inspiration, and transformation. 2024 ISDB Group Annual Meetings and Golden Jubilee, celebrating 50 years of impact, innovation, and partnership. Cherishing our past, charting our future.
نحن نخدم الإنسانية.
Welcome to the heart of innovation, where the sand dunes of time meet the waves of progress. Welcome to Riyadh, the pulsating capital of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. In the cradle of civilization, where dreams soar higher than the desert dunes, a beacon of hope rises. For 5 decades, the ISDB has been a catalyst for change, empowering nations and transforming lives. As we celebrate half a century of resilience, determination, and progress, join us for a monumental event under the patronage of the custodian of the 2 holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud. Ministers, policymakers, industry leaders, and changemakers from 57 member countries and many partner organizations will converge to better shape the future of sustainable development. From 27th to 30th of April 2024, Riyadh will be the epicenter of global dialogue and collaboration. Join us as we continue this collective journey of collaboration, inspiration, and transformation. 2024 ISDB Group Annual Meetings and Golden Jubilee, celebrating 50 years of impact, innovation, and partnership. Cherishing our past, charting our future.
نحن نخدم الإنسانية.
Welcome to the heart of innovation, where the sand dunes of time meet the waves of progress. Welcome to Riyadh, the pulsating capital of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. In the cradle of civilization, where dreams soar higher than the desert dunes, a beacon of hope rises. For 5 decades, the ISDB has been a catalyst for change, empowering nations and transforming lives. As we celebrate half a century of resilience, determination, and progress, join us for a monumental event under the patronage of the custodian of the 2 holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud. Ministers, policymakers, industry leaders, and changemakers from 57 member countries and many partner organizations will converge to better shape the future of sustainable development. From 27th to 30th of April 2024, Riyadh will be the epicenter of global dialogue and collaboration. Join us as we continue this collective journey of collaboration, inspiration, and transformation. 2024 ISDB Group Annual Meetings and Golden Jubilee, celebrating 50 years of impact, innovation, and partnership.
continues smoothly without any dependence or issues with the global supply chains?
Well, trade is the engine of global growth, and of course, Turkey's growth too. So, trade fragmentation or protectionism is a significant headwind. Turkey, though, has an advantage because with fragmentation, friendshoring and nearshoring are becoming new trends. So post-global pandemic, nearshoring was the new normal.
That's right.
Now, with geostrategic competition and trade fragmentation, friendshoring has become, a new normal. So when we look at, friendshoring and nearshoring, Turkey is probably one of the biggest beneficiaries of these new trends. The reason for that is, if you look at the world map, it feels like Turkey is the center of the earth. And so we are friends with the European Union because we are a candidate, but also we have a full customs union. So our trade with the European Union is rule-based. It's not disrupted, is not affected by geostrategic competition. And mature economies as a bloc. Secondly, we have very strong historic cultural trade ties with Middle East and North Africa. So we are close, but we're also friends. Similarly, we are friends with Central Asia. So when you look at, our immediate neighborhoods, which accounts for about over 70% of Turkey's exports, our immediate neighborhood qualifies as friend and near. So in that sense, we think we would benefit from trade fragmentation, which is not desirable, of course, so don't get me wrong. So the other issue is we are also right, we're part of this so-called middle corridor in terms of trade routes. And President Erdogan was in Baghdad recently in Iraq, and the regional countries, including Qatar, UAE, Turkey, Iraq, they've signed a new deal, so-called Development Road Project. So we are going to connect Basra port through highways and railways all the way to London.
Oh, wow, very impressive.
So again, we are investing heavily in infrastructure, in particular in railway infrastructure, because we want to enhance connectivity. Good infrastructure is key to development and trade.
Of course.
So in that sense, Turkey has some advantages.
Thank you. It's very exciting to hear this initiative. But I'm just curious, why start from Basra? Why start from Basra? You said.
Well, why start from Basra? Because I think one of the links of one of the possible connectivity that was missing was from Basra to Turkey and to Europe. As you know, the difficulties in Syria and elsewhere in the region, so you couldn't consider another alternative. And it seems like it was a perfect match because we already have connectivity through Georgia, Azerbaijan, all the way to Central Asia. There is a rail link. So this is another complementary route to connect region to Europe and bigger markets.
That's indeed because this route has most of our member countries. So we'll all benefit from it, and any role we could play, that will be again a privilege. Maybe kind of going to a bit more the buzzword or the key thing of today is the climate. everyone is talking about climate change, mitigation, adaptation, and there's so much of, I mean, do you think it is being overemphasized, or do you think it's a bit quite, the right amount of kind of attention being given? Or what is your view, or Turkey's view on how we can handle with the climate change? And probably from my perspective would be, what are your maybe views, any ideas on the climate finance? What do we do?
Well, global warming is not a hype, is a reality. I mean, if you look at, data, there is clear evidence that, there's global warming and that climate is changing.
I think we lost the, could you please check?
Okay.
Yes.
Well, it keeps coming and going anyway. So global warming is a reality, and therefore we have to take it seriously. And I think dealing with it requires obviously focus in terms of decarbonization, but also that requires investment and financing. When it comes to Turkey, we are committed to net zero by 2053,
Okay.
and we are investing heavily in renewables. Now, investing in renewables for Turkey, it's more than handling the climate change. It's actually a necessity because we pay a big bill to import oil and gas. If you go back to, say, 2022, we paid $97 billion for imports of oil and gas. That's a huge import bill.
Right.
Last year, it was over $70 billion. This year, probably it's going to be close to $80 billion. These are big numbers. So to the extent that we can reduce our reliance on hydrocarbons, on imported energy, we can reduce current account deficit, which is the main source of instability, macro-financial instability. So for us, really, when it comes to current account sustainability, renewable energy is key. When it comes to climate sustainability, renewables is key. But of course, it's not the energy alone. We are greening the economy, and we have a huge potential. Recently, I came across a study by scholars from University of Oxford, Cambridge, and London School of Economics. And the paper looks at countries and looks at their so-called green complexity index. And Turkey is the 6th largest potential country, meaning in terms of green complexity or green products, we have a huge potential. China is number 1. So clearly, we are also, when we define our new industrial policy, we are quite focused on green economy. Not only greening Turkish economy, but also helping world move to green. So that's where the manufacturing comes in. The other point I would like to make is we have invested heavily in infrastructure, about $270 billion over the past 20 years. Right now, the top priority is railways. The reason is, if you can have railway infrastructure electrified, that reduces your carbon footprint. It makes you more competitive, but also it will enable Turkey to avoid the so-called carbon tax by the European Union, because they're planning to introduce it in October 2026. And European Union is our key trading partner. So we need to be prepared. And that's why for us, it's not just a, fad and fashion to be talking about green transition. For us, it's a necessity.
Well, I think it looks like you are quite ahead of your commitment on the greening of the economy. And since we are a south-to-south institution, I hope you could share some of your knowledge with our other member countries who could benefit from it since you are all there. And I also understand that ISDB also had invested in the renewable projects. So we are a partner with you, with Turkey, and we hope that to do more kind of exciting projects in this.
Yes, we're very grateful for ISDB's support, in particular in renewables, in infrastructure, in manufacturing, finance. And as you know, we've just ISDB has just released a new country engagement framework.
Yes.
And we're looking forward to the implementation, which includes financing of up to 6.3 billion US dollars over the next 3 years.
Inshallah.
So we're looking forward to strengthening, deepening, broadening our partnership with ISDB.
It's with pleasure, and thank you for your trust in ISDB. Now, maybe continuing with on the same kind of a line of thinking about more about Turkey's economy. I know Turkey's economy is, tourism is a quite big sector. Being lived in Istanbul and observed, I mean, mashallah, tourism thrives, and very good infrastructure to promote tourism. Now, with the many global changes and many other issues, where are we in terms of tourism? Is it back to pre-COVID levels? And do you see that still you need to attract people back into the country?
Well, tourism is a major industry, major sector in Turkey. Last year, Turkey was number 4th global destination in the world.
Oh, very
So number 1 tourist destination, as you know, is France, and then Spain, US, and then Turkey. So we are the 4th largest global tourist destination in the world. Our journey, tourism development began back in early 1980s, but it has accelerated over the last 20 years. This year,
Maybe bring it closer, maybe.
yeah, it's okay. This year, we are targeting 60 million tourists and 60 billion US dollars. And based on the first 3.5 months reservations and travel, it looks like we are in line with our targets. Despite political tensions, despite Turkey being between Ukraine and Gaza, fortunately, tourism is doing well. Because we have diversified tourism. It's not just, basically Antalya or Aegean or Mediterranean. If you look at last year's data, 2 Turkish cities were in the top 10 most visited cities in the world. One of them was Istanbul. This is more culture, history, and the other one is Antalya. Of course, that's the traditional
That's right.
sun and beach type tourism. So tourism is big. We're doing well. When I traveled here after assuming my new role last summer, when I visited Minister of Finance of Saudi Arabia, I suggested that we should cooperate in this sector, because our seasons don't overlap, and there's a lot of complementarity. We have great human resources and entrepreneurs and development capabilities. I know the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has very ambitious tourism targets, so I said, why don't we support each other? We bring you tourists, we help you develop the resorts, we help you manage the resorts. Even because our seasons are different, we can also provide human resource during your high season. So as you can see, with the region, there's a lot of complementarities, and one of them is tourism.
No, I think that makes very perfect, very good sense, and I hope that your ideas are further taken up, and good luck. Maybe another thing I wanted to, you know, everything in the financial markets are perception. And whenever there is any tension, any kind of a regional conflict or tensions, whatever, investors look at it that how it's going to affect Turkey. So given maybe earlier what happened during the Ukraine-Russian crisis and now unfortunate events in Gaza, how do you see, does it pose any risk to Turkey and immediate and the long run? What is your take on this?
So far, the impact of conflicts have been relatively limited. I mean, of course, Russia-Ukraine war clearly had big impact on energy prices initially, and that created a bigger hole in the trade gap. But again, that proved to be temporary. When it comes to the tragedy, the human tragedy in Gaza, the impact so far has been negligible. The reason is, well, first of all, we have a strong program, and Turkish economy is highly diversified. Tourism, trade, as I said, it's pretty well diversified. So usually the impact comes in the form of risk premia. But because there hasn't been escalation, the risk premia has been contained. So that's number one. The trade implications has been limited. And again, oil prices, despite some occasional spikes, have remained relatively stable. So and as long as there is no escalation in the conflicts, I think the current ongoing conflicts will have negligible impact on Turkish economy, on Turkish program. So we're hoping that it will stay contained. But of course, ultimately, our region needs peace, needs stability, and prosperity. We've had more than enough share of conflicts. So our hope is that we'll, move forward and address some of these big issues and have less of conflicts in the region. Because in the region, countries rise together and they fall together.
True.
And we would like to rise together.
Inshallah. No, that is very thoughtful. Maybe I just, since we are on the 50th anniversary of IDB, and we sitting in the IDB, we always look from the inside, but I want to get your view, what is the outside perception of IDB over the last 50 years? And then I want to pick your thoughts on what we should be doing next 50 years.
Well, ISDB is a great success story. 50 years of, as I said, great service, helping reduce poverty, help improve infrastructure, help with development of Muslim member states, but also Muslim communities around the world. So I have to say, outside perception is positive. It's great. It's been really, as far as we're concerned, it's been a great journey. Since its inception, Turkey received about $12.9 billion of financing cumulative. That's quite impressive. And we're very grateful. ISDB has been, as I said, a great partner. It helped Turkish economy become more resilient. And I'm sure that's the case with other member states. And today's discussion on this concessionary financing initiative is another important angle at a time when interest rates are high, at a time when financing is relatively limited. So I think there's always an important role that MDBs, multilateral development banks play. And Islamic Development Bank is an exemplary, in that sense. And I know that there is a lot of cooperation between ISDB and other development banks, multilateral development banks. So all I can say is it's been a great success story, and we are proud to be part of this story, and we're very grateful for the support.
Well, it is your bank, so you should be proud of yourself. And we are very, very, again, fortunate to have your support from the very beginning. You have been the founding father, always, mashallah, giving your full support whenever there's a capital increase. So you've always been there for us. I know that you have to catch flight and we have a limited time, but I'm sure audience may have some questions to ask.
Sure.
If you allow, maybe we can take few questions. Please introduce yourself, but be very short and precise to the point, the question being asked to the minister. Yes, please. Let me, yes, sure.
Thank you, His Excellency. It was a really great speech. Thank you, insightful. There is an expectation from all over the economists that there will be a rate hike from the Fed in coming months, and it will most probably direct the funds in the system to the emerging markets. What do you think the Turkey's comparative advantage when you compare with the other emerging markets? What are the pros and cons? Could you please elaborate a little bit? And how do you see the coming months in terms of global financial system? Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Well, first of all, there are few emerging markets with a good narrative. So we have a great story. The story is we are structurally transforming the country. We are addressing imbalances. It's a disinflation program. Disinflation usually means re-rating of assets. Whether you're an equity investor, that means expansion in multiples. If you're a bond investor, of course, disinflation is a great story. And if you are an FDI, a real sector representative, clearly, reducing inflation means increased visibility and enhanced growth potential. So disinflation is a good story, and Turkey has that. The program is geared towards attaining price stability, but it's not limited to that. There is also a comprehensive structural reform program. We are committed to investing in people, meaning upskilling, reskilling them, improving investment climate, doing a public finance reform. Of course, we've just talked about green transition, but there is also digital transformation. So when it comes to twin transformations, we've also committed. So as you can see, there's a comprehensive reform agenda as well. Of course, if global central banks such as Fed or ECB were to ease policy going forward on the back of disinflation, it's likely to improve financial conditions. When financial conditions are eased, then of course the search for yield is stronger. And countries like Turkey tend to attract more flows. Risk appetite goes up. Global financial easing means also potentially more supportive environment for global growth. And strong global growth is, means higher risk appetite. So higher risk appetite, emerging markets clearly benefit, and Turkey is one of them. So we not only have a great narrative, but some of the headwinds may turn to become tailwinds. So global financial conditions easing will be a tailwind for us and for most other developing and emerging economies.
Thank you. In the front, VP Saeed Aga.
Thank you, Excellency. Former VP. Great. Well, it's a great pleasure to meet you again here. After retirement, I'm settling in Turkey, so it's a great country to benefit from all these achievements. I had a specific proposal, if allow me, that with the great work that Turkey has done and the experiences, you know, we know young population in our member countries, you know, more than 40, 50, 70%.
Can you hear him well?
Yeah, they are young generations, and with migration and all these other issues, unemployment, maybe Turkey could lead as a lead country to pool the resources of ISDB, other multilateral institutions, the European Union, to have a youth employment development entrepreneurship program, you know, with partnership with ISDB and other institutions. I think that would be, this is a gap that I think there are fragmented programs here and there, but I think with ISDB, where is Dr. Walid, I think that would be an excellent added value to our member countries, but also to the rest of the region. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Investing in youth and creating job opportunities, I think, is essential for all member countries. But in particular, this part of the world, because population is relatively young, the working age population is growing very fast, I think it's very important that there is a strong focus on, you know, making sure that education system is catering for the needs of not only those countries, but for global talent needs. So that's one thing that governments can really do, using the same resources. The other one, of course, you know, labor-intensive, you know, parts or sectors, parts of the economy needs obviously prioritizing. I mean, you know, AI could dislocate. We don't know yet. I mean, usually in the past, technology created more jobs than it has destroyed. But artificial intelligence may be different. You know, if you go back to 1800, 90% of Americans were employed in agriculture sector. Today, 1% of Americans are employed in agriculture sector, but there is no unemployment rate. I mean, meaning it's very low unemployment rate. But AI could turn out to be very different. So it's too early to say, and that's why I think countries should spend quite a bit of time focusing on what AI means for job creation or job destruction. Of course, if ISDB, you know, were to focus on youth and wanted to tap our experience, wanted us to play a bigger role, you know, as a partner, we would always, of course, welcome that. We would be supportive.
And I'm sure that many of our member countries where the youth population is huge and the training needs are there, Turkey can play a leadership role, and certainly with their advanced education system and so many of other research, you know, in many areas. Maybe one last question. Yes, Professor Asutai, please. By the way, if people don't know, mashallah, Professor Asutai was awarded the Islamic ISDB award for the service to economics. And is it public knowledge now, right?
Yes, it is. It is.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
And that's another example of the leaders in the research.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Samir, and thank you very much for the summary of the Turkish economy. But my question, since we are here in the Islamic Development Bank annual gathering, the obvious question is Islamic finance. And that is what I do. My name is Mehmet Astay. I'm professor of Islamic economics and finance at Durham University. I was hoping, and many people like me was hoping that a model, an Islamic finance model, an Islamic economy model could be produced by Turkey as a reference point, a different one. But let alone a new model, the struggle of getting Islamic finance further, even percentage-wise, the role of Islamic finance is terribly limited. And since you are talking about structural change and structural reform, what is the role of Islamic finance in the structural reform, or what opportunity space is given to Islamic finance to play a role, and how we are thinking expand Islamic finance in Turkey, providing the necessary infrastructure and architecture? The obvious question in the Islamic Development Bank meeting, I guess that should be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you and congratulations on the award. Islamic finance is widely, as a channel, is widely available to Turkish citizens. There are a number of financial institutions that are catering and providing those services. But of course, the conventional finance dominates. I guess, in the past, we tried very hard to see if we could enhance the products on the offer, to see if we could get those institutions to play a bigger role. State-owned banks, they all have a subsidiary that provides Islamic financial, services, instruments. But as I said, so far, the share of Islamic finance in Turkey's overall, picture is relatively limited. We would be open to any suggestions. Of course, we work closely with, Islamic Development Bank on, enhancing the products on offer to enhance credibility of those institutions. So it really is demand-driven. Yes, the supply matters, but I think as far as government is concerned, as far as regulatory environment is concerned, we tried our best so far. So it's a matter of, those financial institutions developing additional products, promoting those products, and convincing the society that they have a better service, better products. So that's largely it. It's largely market-driven. But as far as our policies are concerned, of course, we see interest in diversifying, because Islamic finance has its own unique peculiarities, and therefore we see benefits in enhancing the financing mix. So in that sense, our policy is quite clear, but further progress, I think, requires institutional effort, as well as if there's anything we can do to help them in terms of regulations and other, certainly we would support it.
Thank you, Excellency. It has been indeed a pleasure for us to host you. Again, thank you for your time, and thank you for your trust and in your own bank.
Thank you.
And we look forward to welcome you in Jeddah soon to maybe have much more other discussions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
نحن نخدم الإنسانية.
Welcome to the heart of innovation, where the sand dunes of time meet the waves of progress. Welcome to Riyadh, the pulsating capital of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. In the cradle of civilization, where dreams soar higher than the desert dunes, a beacon of hope rises. For 5 decades, the ISDB has been a catalyst for change, empowering nations and transforming lives. As we celebrate half a century of resilience, determination, and progress, join us for a monumental event under the patronage of the custodian of the 2 holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud. Ministers, policymakers, industry leaders, and changemakers from 57 member countries and many partner organizations will converge to better shape the future of sustainable development. From 27th to 30th of April 2024, Riyadh will be the epicenter of global dialogue and collaboration. Join us as we continue this collective journey of collaboration, inspiration, and transformation. 2024 ISDB Group Annual Meetings and Golden Jubilee, celebrating 50 years of impact, innovation, and partnership. Cherishing our past, charting our future.
نحن نخدم الإنسانية.
Welcome to the heart of innovation, where the sand dunes of time meet the waves of progress. Welcome to Riyadh, the pulsating capital of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.